Okay, pre-calc, I'm super excited that we're finally going to be getting to do some unit circle stuff, unit circle and some quadrantal angles. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what a unit circle is. Okay, so it's a circle whose radius is one unit. Okay, so the radius is only going to be one unit long, and the center is on the origin. So let's draw a little unit circle right here. Okay, so the circle has a radius of 1, which means I only want 1 unit out this way, 1 unit up, 1 unit. Okay, and now we're going to draw an angle in this triangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw one in quadrant. I'm going to go from the origin to that circle. Okay, and how long is that piece right there? Well, since it's a radius, okay, it's going to be exactly 1. And then you go directly to the x-axis. Okay, and you make a 90-degree angle, and you always put the angle theta near the origin. Okay, now how do I get to a point right here? So I'm going to call this point x, comma y, which means the x value, I went to the right x units, and then I went up y units. Okay, and then the hypotenuse was only 1. So what's the sine of this angle since it's in a unit circle? So sine would be opposite over hypotenuse, which is 1. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 1. And then the tangent is opposite over adjacent, so y over x. Okay, now I'm noticing here that these first two are really easy. Sine is y over 1. Well, that's just a y. That's just the y value. So whenever I say sine, I mean the height. And whenever I say cosine, okay, that's just the x value. Because this is a unit circle, okay, the hypotenuse is only 1. It's almost like we can ignore it because this is a unit circle. Okay, so here's a little thing I need you to memorize. When I say cosine, you always say x. So cosine is the x value. And when I say sine, okay, sine, I always want you to think the y value. Okay, and there is a way to remember this. So if you take a look at a point, it always goes x comma y in alphabetical order. Okay, and the same thing with cosine. Okay, it's cosine for the x and then sine for the y. When I say cosine, you say x, and when I say sine, you say y, because the hypotenuse was just a 1. Now, how do you do tangent? I know it's y over x. I know it's y over x, but wait a minute. When I say y, you're supposed to think sine. So instead of y over x, we're going to start saying tangent is sine of theta over cosine of theta. Okay? When I say cosine, you say x. Okay, let's take a look at a coordinate plane. So we're going to draw the unit circle, okay? We're going to draw the unit circle right here, just like this, okay? And we're going to label these points. So if you think of a piece of graph paper and you go one box to the right, that is the point 1, 0. If I go 1 unit up, that's 0, 1. 1 unit left is negative 1, 0. And then straight down is 0, negative 1. Okay, and we're going to use this idea of graph paper, okay, from Algebra 1 to try to figure out some of the sines and cosines. Okay, let's use that knowledge here for this next page. Use the unit circle to find the exact values. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is draw that little circle. Okay, I'm going to put the values on. So remember the graph paper, 1 box to the right was 1, 0. The point due north was 0, 1. This point is negative 1, 0, and then down here is 0, -1. Okay, now we have to find the right place to go. Okay, so if they want me to go to angle 0, so I put my initial ray to the positive x-axis, my terminal ray is there, so where am I? I'm right here at this point. Okay. Remember, when we say sine, you think y. When we say cosine, you think x. Okay, so when I say what is the sine of 0, the y value here is 0, so the answer is 0. What's cosine of angle 0? Well, when I say cosine, you tell me the x number, which is a 1. Now, how do you do tangent? Tangent is not the x or the y. Remember, tangent is sine divided by cosine. So I'm going to take 0 divided by 1, which makes a 0. Right, let's do b. Now that want me to go to pi over 2. Oh, radians, pi over 2. So how do we get there? We're going to swing due north, 90 degrees. Here's pi over 2. Okay, so here's the values we're going to be using. What is sine of pi over 2? This is pi over 2. When I say sine, you say y. The answer is 1. What's the cosine for pi over 2? 0. Now what's the tangent? The tangent is the sine divided by the cosine. What's 1 divided by 0? Oh, that's a no-no. That's undefined. That's undefined. There's no value for tangent at pi over 2. All right, let's go to 180 degrees. So I put my initial ray on the positive x-axis. I swing all the way around to here, okay, 180 degrees. So I'm at the value, I'm at this point, -1, 0. Sine of 180. When I say sine, we say the y number. So the sine of 180 is 0. Cosine of 180 degrees is -1. And what would the tangent be for 180 degrees? Sine over cosine, the answer is 0. Okay, we got one more. The last one is 3 pi out of 2. Okay, so 3 pi out of 2, we're going to swing 1 out of 2, 2 out of 2, 3 out of 2. Okay, so we're due south right here. Here's the point we're at on the unit circle. Sine of 3 pi over 2, -1. Cosine, 0. And the tangent would be the sine over the cosine, which again is undefined. Okay, what we're going to do is make little doodles to kind of get ourselves at the right place, try to think of the point, okay, and then we'll use the unit circle idea to find these values. Okay, so where is 3 pi? Where is 3 pi? So if I start here, okay, I know pi is due west. 1 pi, 2 pi, so 3 pi is right here. Okay. Now we have to think about the point when you go 1 to the left. So think back to that picture. Okay, so this is the picture I want you to have in your mind. When you go 1 to the left, we're at the point -1, 0. Okay, so this point is -1, 0. What is the sign there? The sign is the y number, so the sine of 3 pi would be 0. Okay. Drawing little doodles to put your brain at the right place with the right point is the way to go here. Okay, -270. So first we got to get to the right place. A negative angle is going to swing down. -90, -180, -270. Okay, so my angle is due north. Okay, and I'm trying to think of the point there. So close your eyes and think about the point 1 up, and that is the point 0, 1. What is the cosine of -270? Cosine is the x, so the answer is 0. Okay, when I say cosine, you say x value. Good. Okay, where is 3 pi over 2? Where's 3 pi over 2? So let's start our initial ray here. And we'll swing 1 out of 2, 2 out of 2, 3 out of 2. Okay, so we're down south. What is the point 1 box down? What is the coordinates of that point? 0, -1. Okay, and how do you do tangent? Tangent is sine over cosine. So we'll do -1 over 0, which is, oh, that's undefined. Undefined, no value for tangent there. Okay, I hope you're getting the hang of these. Let's figure out where -6 pi is. -6, we're going to swing down. 1 pi, 2 pi, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we're back to the start. Okay, so the point that is 1 to the right has coordinates 1, 0. Now, how do you do cosecant? Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. It's the reciprocal of sine. Maybe what I'll do is just say the sine. Okay, so the sine of -6 pi. When I say sine, you say the y value. Okay, so the sine is 0. But I have to take that answer and reciprocate it. So I'm going to put 1 over 0, which makes undefined. Okay, so we took this sine answer right here, and we put that answer into the denominator. Let's go to 0 degrees. 0 degrees. 0 degrees is swinging nowhere, so we're to the right, or due right. The point right here is 1, 0. Now, how do we do cotangent? Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. Maybe I should do tangent of 0 degrees first. Tangent is sine over cosine. Sine over cosine. So that means that the cotangent answer would be cosine over sine. 1 over 0, which is undefined. Let's go back to our page 1 notes. Okay, so if tangent is sine over cosine, let's add one right here. Cotangent would be the reciprocal of this. So it would be cosine over sine. Okay, if you can remember that it's the reciprocal, that would make this a lot easier. Okay, last one. We've got pi over 2. Pi over 2 is due north, and that point right there is 0, 1. How do we do secant? Who does secant go with? Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine. Okay, so you take your cosine answer and you reciprocate it. So the cosine value is 0. So I'm going to put that in the denominator. 1 over 0. Reciprocate it. Oh, which makes undefined. Okay, so once again, if they say sine, okay, we're going to think y value. Cosine goes with x. Okay. But this is only, okay, when we're dealing with the unit circle. The unit circle, okay? We're ignoring the hypotenuse because it's 1, but it's got to be a unit circle for that to happen. Tangent is sine over cosine, and I think I'm going to add our new one on here too. Cotangent of theta is cosine of theta over sine of theta. Okay, let's make sure we're saying those thetas. We can't just leave it empty. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do here is do some work with values, but the key word, okay, is it's a point on the unit circle. Yes, that's going to be nice. Okay, what quadrant is this point in? It's going to be in quadrant 2. Okay, it's going to be in quadrant 2. So our triangle is going to look like this. Okay, in quadrant 2. We go negative 1/2 to the left, and then we go up, okay, radical 3 over 2. Does anybody know what the value of the hypotenuse is? Without doing Pythagorean theorem, okay, we know what this is. Because it said unit circle, the hypotenuse is automatically 1. We could do Pythagorean theorem for fun, just to prove it to you if you want. I could show you why that's true. Let's see. A squared plus B squared. Let's prove to everybody that it does make the hypotenuse of 1. So when we square it, a negative becomes positive. This is going to be 1/4. A radical 3 squared is a 3. The 2 squared becomes a 4. Then we have, what is this, 4/4 equals c squared. 1 equals c squared, and of course the hypotenuse is 1. But we knew that. Find the 6 trig values. Okay, find the 6 trig values. Let's start with sine of theta. Okay, sine of theta. When I say sine, you say y value. Okay, so the sine is right there. Radical 3 over 2. We could also look at the picture to see opposite over hypotenuse, but we're trying to use that new thing, where when I say sine, you can just tell me the y value. Okay, when I say cosine, you're going to tell me the x value, or you could look at the picture adjacent over that 1. And to do tangent, we're going to do sine over cosine. Sine over cosine. Okay, so what does that make? We've got the sine fraction over the cosine fraction. Wow, a quadruple decker. Okay, the fraction on top has a denominator of 2. And the fraction on the bottom has a denominator of 2. Now, since those are both denominators, you can cancel a denominator with a denominator. And that's going to make negative radical 3. Oh, we got to find 3 more, okay? It said find the 6 trig values. Okay, so cosecant of theta goes with sine. Let's reciprocate that. So it's 2 over radical 3. Oh, we're going to have to rationalize that, right? So multiply top and bottom by radical 3. 2 rad 3 over 3. How about the secant of theta? Reciprocate that. Negative 2. And how about the cotangent of theta? We're going to reciprocate this and get negative 1 over radical 3. And let's rationalize. Negative radical 3 over 3. Okay? Now you try. I'll get you set up here, okay? So you have to do sine of theta, cosine theta, tangent of theta. And then the reciprocals, cosecant of theta, secant of theta, cotangent of theta. Okay? Now remember, when I say sine, you think y values. You just have to tell me that. Cosine is the x, so just tell me that. I want you to fill in these 6, so when I see you tomorrow, I can see that you tried. Thanks for